What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Thanksgiving Day NFL betting preview, the Turkey Day spectacular. Brian and I want to do this ahead of the Thursday game so we can kind of break these down and you guys can watch that before we head into the Sunday slate. So we'll be breaking down that on Friday, and that will be up on your channel. But we wanted to get to these before then. There's 3 games we wanted to break into, but before we do that, Brian, I want to talk a little bit about the Week 11 recap. Much better for me on Sunday. Saturday was kind of a mess. Of course, my best bet didn't come through yet again. So whatever my best bet is, just blindly fade it, and
Fade it, go the opposite direction.
you'd be sitting at 7-2 right now. So
Uh,
Jake Luton was bad. I don't know, but outside of the Jags, the Browns, the Saints, and the Le Titans, and the Jets, thanks to the Jets, are making that game close. Covered all 4 of those with ease. Saturday was not great. Penn State, I don't know what's going on.
God, they're just
James Franklin
terrible.
and Jim Harbaugh are going to be shaking hands in the unemployment line.
Hey, we get to see
K-State,
who's worse this Saturday.
yeah. Can we bet negative scores? Like, could it be -3 to -16?
I would take Michigan -16.
Yeah, and then, but Mississippi State ended up salvaging my Saturday. It wasn't great, but 5-3 overall. Looks like the college football slate did not treat you well as well. Your Coastal Carolina total went over. That's nice. We were on Penn State together. That didn't work out. Utah money line, not so much.
Thanks, Jake Bentley.
Right, Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. Patriots, not so much. The Steelers team total, that worked out for you. I thought that game was gonna be a little slower to start. It did not work that way. The Eagles, that's what you get for going up against me and Baker and the Browns.
Come on.
So you get. And then your Jets, Chargers over was nice.
Yeah.
Washington, obviously, with the Joe Burrow injury helped, but I think they were going to cover that with ease. And then your Saints, you should have just rolled the Saints -4 with me. But instead you decided to go with the money line, but that's okay. So on the season, I'm still 2 games under 500 for some reason. It's not what I'm looking for. The last couple weeks have been brutal, but I'm getting back on the right direction. You're 6 games over, looking a little better for you. But yeah, so let's dive into it. We got 3 picks, 3 games, and then we'll be back, like I said, on Friday to break down the rest of the slate. So we got the Houston Texans traveling to Detroit. It's not Thanksgiving without seeing games in Detroit and Dallas. Like, it's just not. And it's weird. I hope they wear the old school, like, throwback with the silver numbers. All this.
Yes.
But from a betting perspective, which is what everybody's here to check out, we got the Texans rolling in as 2.5 favorites in Detroit. Obviously, coming off the big win against New England. Do we trust the Texans enough to go on the road as a favorite?
I think for me, this is going to be based on the health of Kenny Galladay. If Galladay is not able to return this week for this Thanksgiving Day matchup, I think Houston is able to control the clock in this game, and I think that Houston will wind up being victorious.
So our friends over at Bovada are hanging at 3 right now, and I think if you can get 3, you should absolutely do it with the Lions. I know they've looked bad. I know Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan, the 2 Matts, are just stinking it up. But I think between Kerryon Johnson, Adrian Peterson, and the Texans just being on the road, I don't trust this Texans team. And I know the win against New England was nice, but give me the home team catching points. I'm gonna side that way all the time, and maybe I'll be stupid and end up hating it. But I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially if it's up over 3. I do think that the time slot that this game is beginning to on a Thursday morning at noon at Michigan time is going to be an issue for Houston after having such a rough game against the Patriots, where it was a lot of running and stuff like that.
We just take the under.
They
set the shit at 51.5. Just take the under.
So that's funny you said that. That's actually my favorite bet in this game is just pounding the under. Houston plays at one of the slowest paces in the NFL. People wouldn't really think about that with their high flying offense and Deshaun Watson, but they like to run the ball. They like to keep the ball on the ground. They like to see the other team, get tired throughout the game. And Detroit, they're them too. They don't have pass catchers outside of Marvin Jones right now. And if Galladay doesn't return, they're also going to be leaning on their running backs, with Matt Patricia there. So I think that this game hits the under, and it's pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Shall we move on?
Let's go to the best game of the day.
Let's talk about your boys. Coming off a big win at home against Minnesota. Now they welcome the Washington professional football team. This game opened at 1. It is now your boys favored by 3 after their win. It looks like it's 3 across the board. So where's your head at and where's your confidence at with your Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I mean, seeing what they've not been able to do the last couple of years at home on Thanksgiving, it as much as I enjoyed the victory yesterday, it was kind of a game that I expected them to play a lot better. We talked about this going into the betting show where I'd like them to cover the line. I thought they were going to get Zeke a little bit more involved against that very beatable Minnesota Vikings defense who had some good games. That being said, Washington's front seven is not like something that Dallas has seen since they played Pittsburgh, who, yes, they were able to run on Pittsburgh, but Washington's defense is not going to allow the Cowboys to just pound it up the middle all day on them. And Washington's pass rush is so much better than what Minnesota is able to bring to the table. So I do think that Washington keeps this game really close and potentially wins because I actually think Washington is the best team in the NFC East. This is a game I do like the over, though. I do think that you're going to have to see Dallas put it in the air a little bit more. And Andy Dalton looked pretty good this last week. And then Alex Smith also. The Cowboys have been playing really good against the run as it took Dalvin Cook, a lot of attempts to get upwards over 100 yards yesterday. And they've been defending the run really good the last 3 games for the Cowboys. So this is going to be a game won through the air by whoever winds up reigning victorious.
So I'm taking a little trip down memory lane and reminding myself of some of the scores of these games. It looks like Dallas plays Washington every other year. 2016, Dallas played Washington 31-26. The next year they played the Chargers at home and got absolutely dismantled.
Yep.
28-6. The next year they played that Washington team again, won 31-23. The next year, which was last year, got smacked by Buffalo 26-15. Now they're back home. Now they're welcoming Washington.
Take the over.
If track record dictates anything, this is Dallas -3, and it's a rocking chair finish to the cover.
Yeah, I actually really like the over as my favorite bet of this game. I'm not being a Cowboys fan. It's hard to pick them, especially as a home favorite right now with seeing what they've done this year against a team that I really like in the Washington football team led by Alex Smith. But I like the over.
I like what Washington is doing on the defensive side of the ball, but I worry about that offense and what Alex Smith can do, even as good as Terry McLaurin has been, and so much J.D. McKissick, and as I love Antonio Gibson, I don't know, I can't get there. I'm taking Dallas. The third and final game, which is obviously not quite as exciting anymore, thanks to the COVID results of both J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. As we mentioned on the waiver wire show, lots of Gus Edwards in this spot. I watched all of that Titans Ravens game. I mean, Titans, obviously. They had flashes. They looked better at times. Lamar made some nice plays. He also made some terrible plays. He also took a key sack that allowed the Titans to get back in it. And their defense was fine, but definitely got torched towards the end. And this is a Steelers offense that has so many weapons. The Steelers are at home. This game opened at 4.5. It's down to it's a wide range. We got some 4.5s, we got some 3.5s. We have a 3 somewhere. What was that? Our friends over at Meta. Let me see. Hold on. BetMGM. That's what they were. So the board's over. I'm gonna say 4.5 is what we're gonna use, just because that's pretty much what it is, about 80% of the way. Where's your head at with this one?
I am going to be hammering Pittsburgh minus the line. I've been on the Steelers all season. I think their uber aggressiveness on defense is what is allowing them to play like they have this year. They're creating so many turnovers. They're going to be able to limit what Baltimore is able to do through the air, as Baltimore just cannot get their most explosive pass catcher going, as Marquise Brown had zero receptions yesterday. Des Bryant produced more than Marquise Brown in like 4 snaps. So I just don't see this Ravens offense of being able to do anything in a game where they need to be explosive. And the Steelers offense is not going to be stopped by Baltimore's depleted defense right now, who, with Jimmy Smith nursing an injury on the outside against that 3-headed receiving monster, Brandon Williams is going to miss the game again because he got placed on the COVID list again for the Ravens. Calais Campbell might miss again. Give me the Steelers minus 4.5, minus 5. I'm pounding them this week,
dude. Our preseason predictions were a mixed bag for sure, but our love for
this one was,
and our love for a team not named the Ravens winning this division,
yes,
is looking really, really solid. Now, the Steelers are 10-0, and like, is there a world where we're talking about them in a couple weeks as can they go 14-0? Can they go 15-0? Can they go 16-0?
I think it's possible that they continue to win. I know they're going to have to go to Buffalo here in a couple weeks, and the Bills are not the most scary opponent, but playing up in Buffalo with a game where we saw the best Patriots teams have issues going up there to play the Bills, and that probably swirling winds and stuff like that. And this year, the Bills actually have an offense that is something that is terrifying opposing defenses. So I do think that the Steelers have a chance of losing up there in Buffalo. But this Steelers team is just so good on both sides of the ball and in all facets with, Chris Boswell. I know he missed a field goal yesterday, but he's one of the best kickers in the NFL still. I see a world where they could potentially go undefeated.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their schedule. They have Baltimore, Washington, Buffalo, the Bengals, the Colts, and then at the Browns week 17. I mean, I can't say there's this, obviously I don't think beating Baltimore, Washington, Buffalo, and the Browns and the Colts, like all of those teams, I would bet against that if I could. But I could see them winning most of those. So, and I definitely don't think any of those are surefire. No way they can win. So, this is the one game that gives me a little pause though. And it's like, because there was like as good as the Steelers looked yesterday and as big of a win they did, like they definitely had some issues and they ended up getting bailed out with some terrible throws. Their front seven is great. Their back end is okay. Minka made some good plays. But yeah, I don't feel like Baltimore's the team to take advantage of that. I think if anyone's the team to take advantage of it, it's Buffalo. So I think that was a good call by you. So yeah, man,
now that being said, as much as I hate the Browns and I don't like Baker Mayfield, going into week 17, if the Steelers are undefeated, they're 15-0, they've wrapped up the number 1 seed. They have the double bye. I don't know. Do we have 7 teams in the playoffs this year? I could see a world where the Cleveland Browns need a win to get that 5th spot, not the 6th or 7th spot. And Cleveland is able to control the game on the ground in a game that is likely to be played in heavy snow or some sort of crap weather down there January 3rd in Cleveland. So I think that is a very scary game if they go into that 15-0.
Yeah, and if Baltimore had J.K. Dobbins here, I might feel a little better because he did torch them last time. But
I have no faith in Lamar Jackson beating
the
anybody.
Over-under is set at 45. I like the under, but I also feel like the Steelers might get to like 30 something by themselves, and that worries me about taking the under.
So this is another game I really like the over, with the possibility of Pittsburgh taking some deep shots. forcing the Ravens to have to throw the ball, and the off chance that Lamar Jackson is able to connect with one of those deep passes to Marquise Brown, because that is something going into last week against the Jaguars that was really hit on by a lot of analysts, was the fact that Pittsburgh really struggles against deep passing because they do bring so much pressure. So if Baltimore is able to get any of that going, I do think we could see the potential of another shootout. Last time it was 27-24, so 51.
Yeah. What if this is the game that Hollywood Brown finally does something?
Again, it's just going to be a Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins situation. He's going to be sitting on everybody's bench, or worse, on the waiver wire.
Okay.
Because if you listened to us 3 weeks ago, he's on the waiver wire.
Yeah. I dropped him for Taysom Hill. I don't. You can at me if you want. It worked out just fine. Wasn't trending in the right direction. Anyways, let's recap our card and then we'll hit our Turkey Day best bet. So Brian, you can make 3 bets, 4 bets, 5 bets, 6 bets. How many bets? What are we looking at for your Thanksgiving Day card?
All right, so I'm definitely going to be taking the under in the Houston Texans at Detroit Lions game. The total under 51.5 right now. I'll bet that under all the way to about 48 or so. I think 47.5. I'd probably still take the under. I like the Texans minus 2.5 on the road. I'll take them at that number, but anywhere over 3, I'd probably be leaning Detroit. So I like Houston minus 2.5. I like the under in that game. Going into the Cowboys game, I'm going to take Washington with the 3, and I'm going to take the over in that. I love the over in that game, 46.5, 40, all the way up to – I would probably take the over in that all the way up to about 48, I think is probably the limit. I would take the over because I see that being a 28-20 kind of game.
Your dog does not like that pick.
Yeah, I can hear that. It's probably his mother coming home right now. I apologize, folks. Yeah, so I like the over in the Cowboys game. I like Washington with the points. And then my best bet of the week is give me the Steelers minus 4.5, minus 5, minus 6.5, all the way up to a touchdown. Give me the Steelers to cover the line against Baltimore and the over in that game as well.
Okay. Just doing some quick math here. I got 5 bets. Give me Lions plus 2.5. I'd like it at 3. And if you have access to Bovada that is out there, you might even be able to get that closer we get to Thursday. I'm also riding the under with you, under 51.5. I am taking your Dallas Cowboys minus the 3. I am taking Pittsburgh minus the 4.5. I don't love it, but I think you're right. I also have a 3-team 7-point tease. And ideally you do this in a situation where you get the 3 points with Detroit, because I am taking Detroit. I'm doing it at 2.5 because that's our line. It ideally gets 10, but because you want to ideally cross 2 numbers in a tease, but we're doing this for the sake of the show. So Detroit 9.5, Washington plus 10, and those Baltimore Ravens plus 11.5.
Woo! I like that.
And you need all 3 of them. If you haven't done a teaser before, you can do 6, 6.5, or 7. Ideally, you get 7. Obviously, the juice gets worse the more points you add. But I think there's a lot of action there. I don't like crossing 0. That's why I'm not taking Dallas. That's why I'm not taking Pittsburgh. But I think, the only thing that worries me is there's usually one game that gets really sideways. So I'm hoping it's Detroit winning by a lot. Because if Washington or Baltimore don't cover, then I'm screwed. It's an interesting way to hedge my bet because I'm taking Dallas, I'm taking Pittsburgh. Ideally, all of these things come in, and I'm just sitting there flush with cash and looking to Saturday and Sunday as to how many ways I can lose bets. But Thursday is going to be the day, Brian. I'm telling you.
Another bet that I really like too is anytime touchdown by Terry McLaurin, and I like him to eclipse 100 receiving yards. So wherever you can find those lines, take those.
I bet you can get 70 or 80 yards for Scary Terry. I also like if you can find Kerry on Johnson receiving props, anything like 2.5, like 3.5.
Yeah,
I think you can get 4 or 5 pretty easily against Houston. With that being said, Brian, what's your Turkey Day best bet? No, not best of the rest. Sorry. Ignore that. We are producing the show on the fly here, everybody. Enjoy it. Love it. Try that. Turkey Day, a best bet.
It's Steelers, -4.5, -5, anywhere upwards of 6.5. Pittsburgh is going to annihilate Baltimore. They're going to dominate the game. Baltimore may be able to find some sort of, magic and some off chance deep shot to Marquise Brown, who is not Hollywood. He's more Bollywood right now. But I like Pittsburgh to crush Baltimore on Thursday night.
All right, Brian. Let me ask you this.
Don't do it.
I have a bet that I really like, but I'm genuinely terrified that if I make it my best bet, that it won't actually win. Well, Brian, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all, but I'm saying I'm sorry. My best bet is the Dallas Cowboys win.
Oh goodness. I knew that was coming, man.
See, if you just pivot on what you would normally do when things aren't going well, sometimes it works out and it figures itself out. So once again, Lions +2.5, the under in that game. Dallas -3, Steelers -4.5. Brian is all over the Steelers. You have Washington.
Yeah, give me Washington +3.
Okay. And then you like the under and Houston if you can get it under 3 points.
Yes.
Okay. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. We'll be back on Friday to break down the rest of the slate, as well as back on Sunday morning. If you are enjoying what we're doing here, make sure you mash that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on the little bell notification so you know when we go live. And let us know in the comments what your favorite bet is for Thursday's slate, whether it's total, a team total, player props, straight lines, whatever you want. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. We'll talk to you next time.